Come on in, everyone. Come on in because we are here for Married at First Sight, season 18. We in the windy city of Chicago, and we on episode 4, y'all. Episode 4. They're calling this Wedding Bliss or Miss. That's what they titling it. We already know it's a miss. We know it's already a miss on most of these couples, but we're going to have some fun with it. I'm still rooting for Camille and Thomas, but all the rest of these folks, it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. But I'm going to definitely retitle the video, just like my thumbnail said, and I'm retitling it Blonde Ball Busters. Forget about BBLs. Forget about BBLs for a minute. Let's just call them the BBBs. Blonde Ball Busters, because between Madison and Michelle, they taking these men out. Michelle having a little bit of a lead up into it, but you can already tell she taking him out. She taking Allen out bit by bit by bit. Slowly but surely, she is really revealing that she don't like this man. We picked up on it last couple of weeks, but this week, she putting up all kind of caution flags. She telling that man to slow down, hold up, because this ain't gonna last. She done already made up her mind, and Michelle, she done made up her mind too with the basement dweller. Maybe I ought to call Michelle Blonde Ball Busters in the basement. Let's throw in 4 B's, Blonde Ball Busters in the basement, because she is busting the balls of the basement dwelling apartment, David. I'm going to tell you this, though. We're going to get into couple by couple, but I am going to tell you this. I'm not for what Michelle is doing for David. Yeah, I don't want to marry no man either that live with his parents. But Michelle has gone too far, y'all. I have to tell you, she's gone too far. She can't let it go. She need to go on over there and have herself a margarita or take a gummy or something, because she is wound up tight. And honestly, I think now this is actually more about who Michelle is than it really is about the fact that he's just in the basement. It's a big issue that he's in the basement, but I'm starting to see other issues with Michelle, and her parents are revealing it. Her sisters are revealing it. Her whole family, they're revealing it, and she's even revealing it. And the Blonde Ball Busters, I tell you, they taking them down. They knocking them up and taking them down. But let's first start talking about Carla and Juan. Another couple, I just don't see them making it. Because Carla is starting to reveal that she wants to stay at home. She wants to stay at home, which ain't nothing wrong with it. The only thing wrong with it is that ain't what Juan wants, and that ain't what that daddy wants either. I tell you, these parents have over-inserted themselves into these marriages already. The questions these families was asking of these spouses already, they out of line. They are out of line. But anyway, they woke up when the beginning of the show happened. They woke up in the bed in Mexico, and they said the cuddles were good. The cuddles were really good. No, they're not in Mexico yet. Let me correct myself. They were still in the honeymoon room. They had just finished the night of the honeymoon and the wedding night, and the cuddles were good. So the first night went well with Carla and Juan. They said they got some good cuddles in. Big spoon, little spoon. And did y'all notice that big old bald spot on the back of Juan's head? I didn't notice it before, but shoot, they got a camera angle of him on the back of his head, and he got a whole big old bald spot on the back of his head. I ain't saying nothing wrong with it, but it just kind of took me for surprise. I'm not gonna lie, it took me for surprise. And they started talking about, their morning routines and such. And Carla said she loves to have a little bit of juice in the morning. She doesn't really drink coffee. And Juan said, "Yeah, that's nice. Do you have a nice juicer at home, a Vitamix or something, one of them expensive juicers?" She goes, "Oh no, I just buy mine every day." He was like, "What? What? You spend $10 a day on a juice? That's way too much money." Carla said, "I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because he don't know I spend $13 a day." Right there, you already see a difference in spending habits. Who am I have to give a point to on this one? I'm going to have to give a point to Juan on this one, because me too. Juan, I'm cheap too. There ain't no way I'm spending $13 a day on a juice, and there ain't no way I'm spending $6, $7, $8 a day on some coffee either. Both. I'm cheap. The one thing I'm happy about is that me and my husband agree on that. We will buy us a machine at home to save us some money. We sure will. But anyway, yeah, Carla's like, I'm not doing all that. I'm not trying to pinch no pennies, save no money. Remember, she's very free flowing, very free. You know, what did she say? Money is, I don't know. She has some saying about money. Basically, she don't worry about money. And Juan is like, I care about money. And right now he's saying $10 a day on juice is too much. Wait till you find out she's spending $13. But things didn't really get too much better because then they had to split up and go meet each other's parents. And Juan went to meet Carla's sisters because remember, the mom and dad ain't even showed up. I'm surprised we haven't heard Juan say too much about that. But he hasn't said too much about it, but he got to meet the sisters. And Carla's going to meet the parents. You know, she's going to go meet the parents of both of Juan and also Juan's friend. But it's interesting that when Carla met Juan's family, one of the first things she said was, what makes him happy, right? She said, what makes him happy? So, I mean, at first I was happy with the comment because it showed that she's trying to learn about him. And, they started having a little bit of conversation about, you know, how communication is important. She says she likes to talk. And then she couldn't even finish her sentence before that daddy started blurting out right away, how do you make your money? Dang. How do you make your money? Even Carla was like clutching her pearls like, my God, that's a bit assertive there, mister. That's a little bit of assertive. And she said, well, you know, I'm a hairstylist. I also teach Pilates and I'm a sound healer. And that daddy wasn't impressed. You could tell already. I said last week that I thought his family was really judgmental, and I'm going to continue with that. The family is really judgmental. You could tell. I didn't like the way that father was speaking to Carla and trying to judge her so quickly over what her career, her profession was. He must have got a whiff at the wedding about these new subjects that are coming up when Carla said that she really does want to be able to stay at home and raise her children. She said, I don't mind working, but when I get ready to have children, I want to have the option to stay at home with my children. She didn't say if it's going to be forever and ever, but she said she wants the option. And the father running around talking about, well, he's ambitious. Are you going to be there to help Juan? So what's Carla supposed to do? I mean, you know what? The parents are starting to rub me wrong. I know Carla is all over the place, but at this particular moment, I'm on Carla's side. I really don't have a problem with a woman deciding what she wants to do. She just got to find a man who want to do that. And it's unfortunately the man she got, who is Juan, he's not going to want to do that. I don't know why this wasn't flushed out in the interviews at Married at First Sight. I don't know if either Carla didn't talk about it or Juan didn't talk about it, but this is a fundamental difference between a man and his family talking about 50-50 and a woman saying, no, I want to be a stay-at-home mother. This is a fundamental difference in terms of what you want for your life, which is, I mean, how are you going to get past this? You can't get past it. And that father is running around talking about, well, Juan's going to expect her to work. She going to have to contribute. And Carla's like, contribute? Okay, I can contribute something, but we're going to have to talk about it. We're really going to have to talk about it. And what Carla brought up to me was a very good point. Because what she's pointing out to is not only does there have to be a discussion about the whole 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, there also has to be a conversation about what do you want to spend your money on. You see, that's another issue that families or couples can disagree on. It's not even that you don't mind spending money. You may have a couple, they both want to spend money, but the question becomes, what do you value and what do you want to spend your money on? You see, and what Carla pointed out was says, okay, well, check it out. What if I want to be a gypsy? What if I don't need some fancy house and some big old mansion? What if I don't want all my money going towards some big mortgage, right? I don't mind paying 50-50. That's what she says. Let's say it. But do I want to pay 50-50 towards some big old mansion, some big old house? She said no, because I don't value that. I mean, I could pay 50-50 for a small little 2-bedroom house in the countryside, absolutely. But do I want to pay 50-50 for a big old mansion in some highfalutin suburban areas just so we can keep up with the Joneses? She's saying no. She said, so now what you're talking about is just not 50-50. Like I'm saying, this is a real conversation. Everyone out there, if you're thinking about getting married, the conversation isn't just about 50-50. The conversation is also, how do you spend your money? You see, because I'm in my household, you know what, I'm always willing to spend a little bit more money on vacation because I like nice vacations. I really do. My husband likes vacation and he likes to go to good things, but my husband can skip sometimes on a vacation. He can. He'd be real comfortable with it, whereas I'm not. So guess what happens sometimes? Sometimes when we're going on vacation, I dip over here a little bit more and pull out a little bit more money for it. And guess what? There are some things that my husband will spend more money on. He may spend more money on a car. He may spend more money on something else. And guess what? He going to have to dip on over there and pull a little bit more money out because he wants to spend more than maybe I want to spend. So it's actually not even the fact of how are you sharing bills. It's also what you value and what homegirl Carla's pointed out, that we got a bigger problem than 50-50. We've got a problem over our value system. And Carla's saying, you know, I don't mind spending $13 a day on a juice. You know why? Because maybe she likes the experience. Maybe she likes the experience of going to the juice store. Maybe she likes to talk to the same old people. Who knows? Maybe she likes to hear those loud machines churning every single day. I don't know. But these are the kind of questions that you have to ask even more. You really do have to ask them even more. But finally, they get the news that they're going to be going to Mexico, and Carla said her third eye has been activated. Her third eye, girl, you got a third eye has been activated because she manifested Mexico is where she wanted to go. Juan is jumping up and down on the bed like a little kid playing that early morning bluegrass music. Carla looked perturbed. She looked irritated. She was like, I don't want to listen to this early in the morning, no bluegrass. He said, this right here, this is some good old country stuff right here. He was playing it loud too early in the morning before Carla even had a chance to have her juice. She's like, I don't think I'm going to like this. You could already tell she was already getting a bit irritated. And once they got to Mexico and they were hanging out with all the other couples and they were starting to talk about some of the things they already noticed about their differences, he said, you know, Carla's very spiritual. She's very peaceful. And you know what? He's very business oriented. He worried about money and he's cheap. He put a nice euphemism on it. He's business oriented. He's cheap and he's very frugal. And it's for somebody, but I don't think it's for Carla. I really don't think it's for Carla. And right now what it sounds like is Juan has a lot of ambition. He wants to grow his businesses. He wants to have an app business that's going to blow up and be really big, which I think is admirable that he's ambitious and he's starting his own business and all of that. But it sounds like what he wants his wife to do is to invest in him first. And then later on, I guess there's a payback. But now what he's telling Carla is that even if I make it big in my app, I still don't want you to be a stay-at-home mom. She's like, what? So I got to work with you to build your business to make you better, which is fine because, you know, hey, that's what wives help men with, men help wives with. So I got to build you up, help you going, get your business going. But if you still make it big and you make a lot of money, you're still not willing to say I can stay at home. I still got to be 50-50. What incentive is that for a woman? What incentive is it for a woman to constantly build up a man if she says these are also some of the things I want, and then the man says, well, I don't want to give you those things? That ain't right, people. That ain't right. It's one thing to say, hey, let's build up my business. Let's build it up so that we can afford to have you stay at home. Now, I could get with that. Women can get with that. But what Juan is saying is no. And what Juan's daddy is saying is no. I want you to help build my business, build me up, play 50-50 of these bills. And then once I make it big and I make a lot of money, I'm still going to want you to contribute. I don't want you to be able to stay at home and raise our kids. That's a very, very selfish point of view. Very, very selfish point of view. And as we move on to the next couple that I'm going to say has a very, very selfish point of view, is going to be Michelle and David. I'm sorry. I was all prepared to be all over David because he's living in the basement. And then David comes around saying, well, it's not that I'm in a basement room. I have a whole apartment down there. I got my own entrance. I got 2 bedrooms. I got my own kitchen. So he's painting the picture and he's saying, you know what? It's not as bad as you think, Michelle. Yeah, I'm living with my parents, but it's not like I'm living in a room downstairs. It really is a separate basement apartment. And if I didn't live there, they literally could rent it out to another tenant. So, you know what, David, I'm going to give you a little bit of leash on this. I'm going to give you a little bit of leash. And also the reason I'm going to give you a little bit of leash, because Michelle is a ball buster. She really is a ball buster. That's what you get, David, for calling Michelle beautiful when she walked down that aisle and she really ain't that beautiful. That's what you get for pumping her up so much and talking about how beautiful she is just because she's a blonde. And now what you got is you got a blonde ball buster. This is not what David counted on when he wanted a blonde. He wanted a sweet blonde. He didn't want no blonde ball buster, but that's what he got. And Michelle ain't beautiful. I hate to keep saying that she ain't beautiful, but I don't know if Michelle sees herself. Michelle is really coming into this marriage thinking she's up here and David is down here. And I agree with me, Michelle. A man living in his basement apartment, even under these conditions, I don't care if it's a separate apartment or not, it's not the first choice. I get it. But at this point in time, y'all are married. You're married. Now, if you met him on the street, I get why you wouldn't want to go out with him. You wouldn't even want to give him a second look. You wouldn't even want to attempt it. But at this point in time, y'all are full on married. So the fact that you're not even trying to work at this, the fact that you can't even get past it enough to have a margarita, I think the issue is bigger with Michelle. Because if she can't get past things that she doesn't initially like, how's she ever going to have a sort of a compromise or relationship with another person? No wonder she been single for 6 years living alone. She going to end up being one of them people they call a cat lady. Because I'm starting to lose hope for Michelle. I'm starting to learn more and more about her, and I'm thinking she might need to be alone. We find out that their night wasn't as peaceful, their honeymoon night. David was like, he didn't sleep well, and neither did Michelle. They already having second thoughts. They're not sleeping well. They're tossing and turning because they both know that this is not what I really want. David even knows it. He was all hung up over that she was blonde and blue eyes. But once she took off all that makeup and she took off that veneer came off of her, he realized that, dang, she ain't that nice. She ain't that nice. But yeah, they tossed and turned all night long. And he said, let me get up and go to the gym because that's where he goes. You know what? I'm always surprised at people who say they go to the gym every single day. But David, he carries his weight different. Let me just say that. David carries his weight different. He might need to get with a nutritionist because if you're working out every single day, you should be ripped a little bit more. Just a little bit more. He kind of built more like a wrestler. He built like a wrestler. So I don't know. He need to work on them abs. Let's just say that. But he was going to the gym. He said, let me apologize to you right off the rip. I know I was snoring, so I'm sorry. But even then, Michelle wasn't even too happy about him going to the gym. You could tell she didn't like that either. She don't like nothing about this man. I'm telling you from the beginning, she didn't like his skin color because when Michelle said she wanted a black man, it was not David. That's not what she meant. So she didn't like that. Then she didn't like that he was a basement dweller. Then she didn't like that he said he was a casual smoker or social smoker. And the next part she had a problem with was when he told her he worked in second shift. She didn't like that either. She wanted a man who was more professional, who works a 9 to 5. And she said, why was your alarm going off? He said, oh yeah, because normally right now I'm working second shift where I go in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which means he not even getting home to, maybe 12 o'clock at night, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, depending on how long his shift is. I don't know if he working a 10-hour shift, 11-hour shift, 12-hour shift. Who knows? But basically he said, I don't even go into 2 o'clock. So he don't even get home to the night. And she's like, well, dang, I start work at 8:30. When we going to see each other? He says, oh, I guess I have to see you early in the morning. You know, I'm going to wake up early because I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym and work on these 0-packs. Ain't a 6-pack, but a 0-pack. And so right now, Michelle is, when she got a list of like the pros and the cons, the pros don't have nothing in it. The good parts and the bad parts, she don't have nothing in the good parts. It's all in the bad parts, y'all. She adding up basement dweller. She adding up that he casually smokes, socially smokes. She's adding up that he got to work 2 jobs. She don't like that. She don't like his shift. She don't like his skin color. She don't like nothing about David. Nothing. She don't like that hair. Nothing. Have you heard Michelle give David one compliment? One. Not a one. Not a one. And she won't let it go. She like a dog on the bone. Like I said, I really understood the problem she was having with David, but I think the problem now I'm having with Michelle is she's just a ball buster. She's mean. She's just downright mean. But you know what? I know where she gets it from. She also gets it from that family. But soon as she wakes up the next day, she's like, don't you find it hard to date and living at home with a parent? Okay. So, you know, in the beginning, David's going along with the questions because he knows he needs to answer the questions because he's gotten them before. He got them before. He should have never come on this show living in the basement. He should have just gone out and got an apartment real quick. At least an Airbnb. There are a lot of people who came on this show, and what they did was after they got selected, they quickly went and got them an Airbnb because they didn't want to show that they was living with somebody else. That's what David should have done. He should have lied. But anyway, she's like, are you ashamed that you're living with someone? Don't you just think it's unattractive? Girl, this is getting to be a little bit awkward now, Michelle. It's starting to get a little bit awkward. And she's like, I hope it's not your plan for the rest of your life. Well, obviously, it's not her plan for the rest of his life, Michelle, because he just got married to you. He's not asking you to live in the basement apartment. What are you talking about? You know what? I don't like Michelle. And you know what? I commend David for, at least in this moment, keeping his cool. But later on, we're going to find out he can't keep it. Because who can keep it? All these jabs that Michelle is throwing, she's throwing a lot of jabs and a lot of shade. And after a period of time, I don't even know who could stand this. And David's like, well, you know, I do got a kitchen, Michelle. It ain't as if I got to go upstairs. But I don't think he's kicking in the kitchen. Let's be real. David ain't cooking. He is not cooking. He said, I got a kitchen. I got 2 bedrooms. I got a separate entry. He said, don't worry. I'm very, very independent. Now, at this point in time, Michelle, what I think you should do is you should fall back. You should fall back, have yourself a margarita, okay? And then you should just let David prove it to you. It's okay to come in with like, an eye on it, skeptical, have a little bit of bias to it. I'm with you, girl, because I would be the same way. But at this point in time, since you're already married and you signed up for this show, Married at First Sight, you got to give him a chance to prove that you're wrong, right? Let him prove that you're wrong. I mean, that's all you got to give him. But right now, she don't even want to give the man a chance. Not a chance whatsoever. And she's sitting over here when she gets ready to go and meet the mom. The mom is like, the mom got a whole list of questions for her. I told you that mom is overbearing. And we know David is a mama's boy. He absolutely is a mama's boy. And for that mama to come to the meeting with a whole spiral notebook of a bunch of questions to ask this lady was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. When your son is a basement dweller and you come with a whole spiral notebook, something is wrong. Girl, I need to be asking you questions. So, you know what? That's why in one way I'm on Michelle, but in the second way, David and his mama, like I said, all this codependency stuff they got going on, her showing up with a spiral notebook with notes. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. She goes, what are your pet peeves? She said a man with flip-flops. A man in flip-flops. So you start thinking, I know I got a lot of women who hate men in flip-flops. And it's for different reasons. Some women think men who wear flip-flops is a little too sassy for them. Other women who said they hate men in flip-flops because they think it symbolizes a man being lazy. So I don't know if any of you have this pet peeve too with flip-flops. I don't really have no problem with it. My husband don't wear no flip-flops. You know, he may wear some of them little sliders around the pool or something, but there are a lot of people who hate flip-flops, and they say it's a little bit too sassy to see a man running around in flip-flops. And a lot of women says it symbolizes laziness in a man. Listen, these are my points of view. This is just what I hear on the street. And I'm wondering if Michelle is the person who associates flip-flops with laziness, because I think she thinks David is lazy. I think she does. And the mama said, well, his pet peeve is if he can't work out. The mama act like she's David's girlfriend. She said he likes to work out and then he likes to eat afterwards. So that's why I be having food cooked for him. Mama didn't say it, but you know that's what's going on. And then Michelle had to bring it up one more time. She had to bring it up one more time and say, you know, my biggest fear of your son, I was about to say your husband, your second husband, is the fact that he lives with his parents and that he smokes. Michelle said, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up the not so elephant in the room, because the elephant is big. And the mama then tries to take up for him and says, no, he's very independent. He is very independent, so you don't really need to worry about that. Independent according to whom? The mama? Because I don't think the mama knows what independent is, because I think she's codependent. That's what I think. That's what I think. The mama says, I'm just afraid that you're going to hurt him. I'm just afraid that you're going to hurt him. And she says, I'm not going to lie. I'm already hesitant and I'm overwhelmed. So basically, Michelle is already admitting that she really ain't into this. She's not into it at all. She really hasn't given this man a chance. She done made up her mind already. To be honest with you, Michelle is almost... do y'all remember Alyssa, when Alyssa left him at the altar? Remember when Alyssa left her man at the whole altar? She's like, I'm not doing this. Well, to be honest, if Michelle could have left David at the wedding, she would have. If we really think about it, Michelle don't really want to be here. Michelle really wanted to leave this marriage at the wedding. At the wedding. And now that she's told this family that she's overwhelmed and she's hesitant, they're going to be like Carla. They got their third eye on her. They got their third eye on her. And then on the other hand, when David goes and meets the sisters, meets all of Michelle's, he's actually very lovely. He's enthusiastic. He's happy. He's really trying to figure out how he can please her, because I think he already senses that she don't really like him. And he was thinking that he hit the jackpot with his blonde hair, blue eyes. And the sister is already coming. Her whole family kind of got a nasty attitude. I'm not going to lie. And they're like, well, first of all, you're going to need to bring your energy down because you got too much energy. What? Is that what you say to somebody when the first time you meet them? And then she's like, well, patience is the key patience is going to be the key with Michelle. Basically, her sister is stubborn and her sister says whatever she wants to say. And so you're going to have patience with her because her sister's kind of nasty. That's all they're saying. That's all they're saying. And she's so used to being on her own and she's very independent. Go get a cat and live alone then. Go get a cat. Why did Michelle sign up for this show? Why did she sign up for this? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if it wasn't the basement issue going on with David, there would have been something else. It's not just the basement. It would have been something else. Michelle really, I think, is really a nitpicker. And I think Michelle thinks she's up here and she's all that, and she's not. She's really not. But once he told them sisters that he was living in the basement, that other sister was shaking her head saying this ain't going to work. This is not going to work. And they told David, listen, all this energy you got, you too pushy. You need to pump your brakes and you moving way too fast. I didn't like it. I didn't like the things that they were saying to David so early, and I didn't like the way they were saying it. I don't know. I guess every family got their own little quirks, and you could tell that in Michelle's family, they talk out the side of their mouths a lot. I would have a problem with the way they say things to me. I'm not going to lie. I would have a problem with it. But he's going to take it in. He's going to take it in. They told him, Basically, they told him to do this. Be quiet and just look there and do what she says. That's basically what they're trying to tell him. And so now he all nervous, talking about he going to need to take it slow. He goes, okay, I'm going to take it slow. And, he goes back and talks to her and tells her, yeah, your sisters told me I need to take it slow. And she's like, oh, yeah, they told you right. You need to slow down. And then Michelle can't stop. She can't stop. I tell you, she loves to bust some balls. And she said, yeah, you know what? You talk real fast. You talk too much. You need to slow it down. My sisters was right. She's like, you ain't had no meltdown yet? Why are you asking this question, Michelle, if he had a meltdown? Have you seen one? No. The only reason you asked the question on if he had a meltdown, because you now want to tell him that you had one. Why? Why do you need to bring that up? Like I said, I don't like Michelle. You know what? I'm not for no basement dweller, but y'all know, if any of you guys watch my shows, you know the two people I don't like the most. I don't like liars and I don't like mean people. I don't like mean-spirited people. And I find myself already starting to feel more better about David than I'm feeling about Michelle, because who I don't like is I don't like mean-spirited, bully people. I get that David lives in a basement apartment, but you know what I don't like more? I don't like people who are mean-spirited and bullies. I think Michelle should bring it up. I think it should be a red flag. I think it should be a caution. I think she should ask him about it. But at some point in time, I think she should just sit back and watch and let him prove if he is that person she thinks he is. There's nothing wrong with that. But right now, what she's doing, I'm not for it. I'm really not for it. And then she keeps going on talking about she's a people pleaser. Girl, you are not no people pleaser. No people pleaser sits here and busts balls like this. She's a liar. So that's what I'm saying. Now I'm dealing with a mean person and a liar. Please, Michelle. She had to go on and tell this man how she was in the bathroom screaming and having a meltdown. And talking about, are you embarrassed to tell people you live in an apartment, you live in your parents' house? Girl, really? We still talking about this? Go have a margarita. And he is really trying to convince her, I'm not that person. I got 2 jobs, but now you all hung up on this, Michelle, and you like a dog on a bone. You can't get off of it. And now his whole dream of being married to a beautiful blue-eyed bombshell, he's now married to a blue-eyed blonde ball buster. There you go. There you go. Michelle really is independent, because when they got ready to go on this honeymoon, he was like, you want me to help you with your luggage and get on this little tour bus or whatever it was, the bus that's going to take him to the airport. She's like, I got my own luggage. She really is independent. She's independent. And then when they get on the bus and everybody else is kind of hugged up and touching, or at least sitting next to each other, she's sitting 10 feet apart from David, talking about how can everybody be so touchy and lovey-dovey so soon and you just met people. Girl, what you talking about? You don't know how to hold a hand of a person? I mean, you hold hands in a prayer circle. Michelle acts like you got to be in love to hold somebody's hand. Holding hand is what creates intimacy. Michelle acts as if you got to have intimacy before you hold hands. No, actually what you're supposed to do is start to create moments so you can build the intimacy. Things like holding hands builds intimacy. The things like sitting next to each other builds intimacy. Things like rubbing shoulders next to someone builds intimacy. Michelle, I'm telling you, Michelle is cold. She is very, very cold. And she's sitting 10 feet apart from this man, acting as if he got the cooties. No wonder she's been single for 6 years and alone for 6 years. Please, this don't have nothing to do about that Michelle can't find no man for 6 years. Please. This is not what this has to do with. She don't want to be with nobody. She really doesn't, because she don't want to give up nothing of what her life is and who she is. She is not ready for no compromise. Not at all. Not at all. And then she's still running around. Still. Then she really, you think it would end. They get to Mexico. I'm thinking, girl, get you a margarita, a strong one, a double. Get you one. And come to find out that David didn't even sleep in the bed with her that night. They already sleeping in separate rooms. He's sleeping on the couch. And then she says, I'm not surprised he slept on the couch. That was a dig too. Because what she was trying to say was he ain't used to sleeping in a bed. He's probably a couch sleeper because he lives in a basement apartment. I already know what Michelle was thinking. He's lazy with flip-flops, living in the basement apartment, sleeping on a sofa because he ain't got no bed. Her image of what David is doing, she's done made it up all in her head. That's why she wasn't surprised he slept on the couch. Then he had to wake up one more time to her talking about, aren't you ashamed that you a 36-year-old living in your mother's apartment? Girl, you like a broken record at this time. You a broken record. You a broken record. And you know what? I don't find that attractive. A man living with her, a man living with her mama in the basement apartment. It's over, David. It's over. Just like he said, she can't get past it. Nope, she can't get past it. And to be honest with you, David, if it weren't for the basement dwelling apartment, it would be something else. I can already tell it would be something else. How did Michelle get chosen for this? How did Michelle get chosen for Married at First Sight? But I'm going to flip over to another happy couple because I'm happy to see what I'm seeing with Camille and Thomas. And, you know, they snuggling went well. So although stuff is going bad over there with David and Michelle, it's going well with Camille and Thomas. They going well. They snuggling went well. And they walked away and said, we did keep it PG for the first night. They kept it PG, but you could already tell Michelle is ready to get it on. She's like, but to be determined the next time. Tonight was PG, but that don't mean the rest of the nights ain't going to be PG. She said she was happy you didn't snore because she was like, I don't want to be married to no man that snores. And Thomas over there, he looked happy. He looked real happy. You know what I want to do with Thomas? Thomas always looks like he got a sad face. I was looking at it and I was like, why does Thomas always look like he got a sad face and a frown? I think his mustache turns down a little bit too much. And I think his face turns down a little bit more. I think he might need a little Botox, y'all. What do y'all think? I think we need to fill in these lines on Thomas with a little bit of Botox or a little bit of, if not Botox, Restylane, because I think the structure of his face makes him look sad a lot of times. Because he's not really sad, he's happy. But, you know, that his face looks sad. I think he needs some Botox and some Restylane. But at first he was nervous that, you know, he was such an older guy with Camille. But she put him at ease when she said, you know, she dates older men and she likes that because, like I said before, Camille got an old spirit. She got she got an older spirit. She needs to be with an older man. And contrary to the other couple that we just talked about, Camille and Thomas's Meet the Family brunch went well. Real well. In fact, Thomas was on the after party for this episode, and he said that after the brother met Camille, he sent Thomas a long text email glowing and talking about how wonderful Camille is and how perfect she is and how they have so much in common, and basically told Thomas, don't fuck this up. He basically told his own brother, she's a winner. She's a 10 out of 10. You better not mess it up. I am high on these two right now. I really am high. I still got high hopes. They are my front runner. In fact, really right now, they really my only runner, to be honest with you. They're the only couple right now I even see making it. But definitely they're my front runner. And what I did find out about the two of them is that he said that he's a conflict avoider. He likes to be silent. He sort of goes in his cocoon. And then what happens is he smothers his emotions and he builds a resentment and disdain for a person. And what I found good about him articulating that is he's aware of who he is. So you could tell that the therapy for Thomas has worked. Now, fixing it and doing something different about it is a whole nother thing. But at least he's gone enough to a therapist that a therapist has helped him figure out what his issues are. And what he's saying is he's a conflict avoidant. And when he does feel negative emotions, he goes within, he bottles up his emotions, and he becomes resentful. And then he builds up disdain. And that's what I said last time about that relationship he was in with that woman for 9 years. I said, I know that relationship was filled with a lot of resentment because he didn't marry her for 10 years. So she was definitely resentful. And when he said he went out and he had an affair, I think also that was because he had built up some resentment with her too. But hey, it's all over. He's here now. He's married to Camille. And the thing about Camille is she kind of says that she's kind of the same way. So, I mean, they're going to have to learn how to communicate because you can't have two people not talking. Somebody gonna have to talk. But to be honest with you, I think it's a better problem to have than to have a person who blows up. I think we've seen in the past people who handle couples who handle their differences in an explosive manner. But here, I think they're going to have each other talk. But at least what they're not going to have are no blowout fights, which is good, which is really, really good. And so, Thomas has said he's had 4 years to work on himself. And basically what he was telling the family is, listen, I've been working on myself for 4 years. I believe in the institution of marriage, so I'm here to win it. I'm here to win it. And then Camille went in talking about her heart is vulnerable. She assured that family she wants to have children. She said we on the same timeline. We both want to have kids within a couple of years. That mama was happy because she ready to be a grandmama. And then, the Camille's father was talking to Thomas and grilling him a little bit, just as a father should, and said, you know what? I got my eye on you too. You're doing a lot of talking, but I want to make sure you put some walking behind all this talking. He said actions speak louder than words. That's what Thomas said. He said he's going to prove himself to that daddy. I loved it. I loved everything about these family meetups. And Camille said, I know what I can bring to Thomas's life. I'm going to bring the fun side. She said, that's what I'm going to bring to him, the fun side, the light side. And the brother said, that's good because that's what he needs. He needs to loosen up. He needs to have a little fun. They're all happy that they want to have a baby soon, because the brother already has an older daughter. Find out on the after party that the twin brother has a daughter that's 22 years old. And the brother was saying that at one time he wanted them to have their children grow up at the same time. But right now, the brother, Tim, I think his daughter is older, 22 years old. But they're both ready to have children. And Camille said, I'm going to bring out the fun side in him. And the brother said, that's good. He said, but I do want to let you know that he don't take criticism very well. Not at all. And not no harsh criticism. So don't be no Michelle coming up in here beating them over the head with a big old stick. You're going to have to use different techniques to do constructive criticism because, I got to be able to talk out here. But she said, do it gingerly. Do it gingerly. Don't be too harsh with the criticism. He said, because Tom is a good listener, and she said that she is too. And they say, you know what? He says, do you have a problem with the fact that he can be so OCD and he eats real particular? She said, no, because I'm the same kind of way. So these two really are starting to see how they have a lot of things in common. They really do have similar temperaments, very, very much similar temperaments. And it looks like they're going to be protectors of each other's heart. So I really, really like it. And Camille already said, hey, before they get ready to go to this Mexico, she said, I want to just show you a little bit of something that I brought. She brought out her little sexy underwear and said, hey, look what I got for you. If things go right, you can get a little bit of this right here. And he was happy, and he had his little condoms in a jar. That's what I think it was. I think it was condoms. So when they made their way to Mexico, they already sitting close to each other. They already, doing physical PDA, all that other kind of stuff, which is what they should do. And Thomas is telling the crew, listen, we already here bonding. We are bonding. We already got undeniable chemistry. And he said, we falling into each other's arms just fine. Just fine. So like I said, I'm real good on these two. I'm really, really good on these two. And I'm all in. I'm all in on them, y'all. But in my eyes, the couple that didn't get any better in my eyes is MM and EKG. I don't see no chemistry. I know they talking about the chemistry, y'all. I know they're talking about the chemistry, but I don't see it. Has anyone seen any more kisses going on with MM and EKG? I know she wrapped them chocolate legs around him in the pool, but what I didn't see when she wrapped them chocolate legs around him was a kiss. I didn't see no kiss. And right now, I feel like they're putting in a lot of effort to make it seem like they got good chemistry, but yet I actually don't see the chemistry. And I'm really starting to believe that EKG, I think that he is the bigger problem. He absolutely is the bigger problem. And this is not a match, y'all. It's not a man. And I'm sad to see it because I think MM really does want a husband. And I just don't think EKG's it. But, you know, when they woke up, he also was the one that said he likes to work out. He likes to go to the gym. And they started talking about a little bit of their fears coming in. And he said one of the things that he was very fearful of was wondering if would he be enough for her? Would he be enough for her? In what way, KG? What way are you fearful? Would you be enough for her? That's what I'm wondering about. And he's like, ooh, when we woke up this morning, I was just so happy to feel your skin on my skin. Well, if you're so happy to feel her skin on your skin, why are you not touching her now? That's what I want to know. Why are you not touching her now? I almost feel like EKG is just faking it. I think he's lying, y'all. I think he's lying. Then he started talking about, ooh, we got to go meet the parents, but I don't want to leave you. But he don't touch her. It's just starting to look like a lot of empty words, kind of almost like that poetry he writes. A lot of words that sound good on paper, that sound good in a song, that sound good in some spoken word, but he don't really feel the words. Like there's a disconnect for me between the words that EKG is saying and what I see him doing. Like when you say real sweet things to a person, typically what follows up is a gesture. Like if someone comes up to you and say, girl, I love you, typically they touch you. They say, I love you, and either they touch your hand or they touch some part of your body. There's an action that goes along with the words. But what I find about EKG is that KG has a lot of words, but he doesn't have the physical contact that comes along with those words. And then at other times when he does have the physical contact, it kind of feels sometimes like he's just doing it because MM did it. I don't trust EKG's the way he's kind of interacting with MM. I don't. But in the end, when they went around to meet the family, and MM got to meet EKG, she got spooked. She got spooked because what that sister was saying is, how do you feel about the fact that EKG is kind of big on social media? I don't know who EKG is. What's she talking about? He's big on social media. What the hell is his sister talking about? How do you feel about the fact that he got a lot of followers and he's big on social media and the ladies love him? Do the ladies love him because he got fake words? He got good words that he puts in the songs? You know, all this is adding up that EKG is just looking for some more followers. He going to end up getting the wrong followers. I'm telling you right now, EKG, you might have bet wrong. If you came on Married at First Sight to grow your followers, to grow your audience, to promote whatever it is you do in social media, you're going to end up getting more followers that come in your DMs and clown you or hate on you or whatever they're going to do to you, then you think you're going to get the good ones. I think if this has been EKG's plan, it's going to backfire on him. It's going to end up, because no one's going to appreciate when they finally figure out what EKG really is. If this is what he really is, no one's going to appreciate it. He's going to get torn apart. He's going to get torn apart. But this sister was running around talking about, how will you feel? How will you feel uncomfortable? And you know what? I liked Eminem's response to that. Sister said, well, first of all, it's not my job to feel comfortable. It will be his job to make me feel comfortable. There you go, Eminem. Put it back on him. I don't know how this sister was coming up in here, but she wasn't coming the way I would want her to come. And I like the fact that Eminem, I keep calling her Eminem. She may be Eminem later on, depending on how EKG act. I might start turning from calling her MM to Eminem. And EKG think he gonna have all the bars, he gonna be spitting all the lines, but he better watch out, because I still think MM can come with a few bars herself, but maybe some bars he ain't gonna want to hear. But when that sister said the reason why I think EKG is still single is because he's looking for a unicorn, he's looking for perfection. Exactly. He's looking for the fairy tale he writes down in those songs and those poems. He has created a fairy tale. He creates a fairy tale life through his words. And this is why, if he is on social media and he's got a lot of women after him, it's because what he's done is he's created a fairy tale persona that he's his man that loves women, and women are saying, "Ooh, I would love to have a man like him. He's so romantic," but yet he never chooses a woman. It's all fake and phony. It's an illusion. Let people think I'm so romantic. I'm so this. I'm so that. I'll attract a lot of people, but I never really choose a woman, because all this is just a fantasy and it's all just a thing so he can make himself look good. I said from the very beginning, I'm going to hone in on EKG. Stick with me this season. I'm going to hone in for him. He loves to make himself look good. I said it from that wedding when he wrote that poem, and he did it on camera. He didn't write a poem prior to the wedding. He specifically did it on camera because he wanted to show us, the audience, look how I can freestyle on a dime. You see, when he brought that singer in at the wedding, his friend who sang that song, and he snatched the mic away, it's because he wanted the spotlight. Everything that EKG does is for the spotlight. When he's sitting here all snuggled up with MM in this little bus when they get ready to go to the airport, you think he's snuggling with her so that because he is attracted to her. No, he's snuggling with her so he can look good in front of the other people, because when they're alone by themselves, he doesn't initiate contact. He doesn't initiate it. I'm telling you right now, he's all for the cameras. He's all for presenting one person, but he's really someone completely different. This man is running around chasing a Married at First Sight from Houston and Chicago. I know who he is, and I don't like him. I don't like him. He's still telling this sad old story that he was engaged 12 years ago, but he ain't been in no relationship for 12 years. 12 years you ain't been in no relationship. Where's my red flag so I can wave it? Where is my red flag so I can wave? Let me tell you something. Not being in a relationship for 12 years is, be honest with you, that's more of a red flag than David living in the basement apartment now. I'm going to tell you that right now. EKG got more red flags to me right now than David does living in that basement apartment. I'm going to say it. I'm going to absolutely say it. And Eminem is right. She over here worried about the fact that he's looking for a unicorn. And when she confronted it on him, guess what he did? He doubled down. He doubled down on it. And I think that made her even more nervous. He didn't try to clean it up. He basically said, yeah, basically that's what he's looking for. Someone's perfect. He wants something dope. He wants something out of he wants a woman like out of the lyrics of a song. That's what he wants. Something imaginary that he done cooped up in his own head and put it on paper. MM is already over here talking about, I don't know if I could get with him. He don't even like no chitlins, no liver, and no gizzards. He was like, he don't even eat meat. He don't even eat meat. So he said, I don't know how I'm going to be with a woman who likes to eat chitlins, liver, and gizzards. There's a lot of people that don't eat chitlin, liver, and gizzards, but I'm not going to look down on them. I'm not going to look down on them. Not at all. I don't particularly care for no gizzards. I don't eat gizzards. I grew up eating a lot of liver. Shoot, my daddy loved some liver and onions, so my mama used to cook it all the time. I don't really cook liver and onions. I don't. It's good for you. It is really good for you. And guess what? I do have a cup full of chitlins every New Year's because, yep, my family's from the country, and we still believe that every New Year's you need to have some chitlins, you need to have some greens, and you need to have some black eyed peas. All three, absolutely. So I do it every New Year's, and every New Year's we eat some chitlins. But that's the only time of the year I do it, and it's our family tradition, and I'm going to keep on doing it. And I don't care if I'm with no vegetarian or no one that don't like chitlins, then go outside when I eat it. Go outside when I eat it. And then he comes around and tells man, well, my pet peeve is ignorance. So, at one point in time, he's going to start thinking that he's more evolved and intelligent than MM. MM, who's a whole darn near a nurse practitioner, darn near a doctor, he's going to come around and try to act like MM is not as evolved as him. It's coming because EKG thinks real highly of himself too. He really does. And in that, he's going to be putting her down. I can already see it coming. I can see it coming. And she let him know I was engaged too. You was engaged. I was engaged. But there was some infidelity involved. And EKG admitted that he was unfaithful too. And he did the ex-fiance wrong. But he says, I'm over that now. Well, how are you over it? Because you ain't been with nobody for 12 years. So how do you know that you have the ability to be faithful to a woman because you haven't even been in a relationship for 12 years? How do you know, EKG? You ain't even put the car on the road. You ain't even put the car in the road. You haven't had the need to be faithful to one woman because you've never even said you would be faithful in a committed relationship for 12 years. I don't like them. I don't like them. Let me move on because you know what? My foot is on the neck of EKG right now. My stilettos are on his neck. And let me let them up for a minute so I can get back over here and talk about the last couple, who's Madison and Allen. Another couple that ain't gonna make it. Another couple that ain't gonna make it. And I really like Allen, y'all. I really like Allen. Allen is so hopeful. He's so optimistic. He's coming in with the right attitude. And Madison isn't gonna be able to fake this for much longer. She really isn't gonna be able to fake it. She said that her last relationship was 3 years ago. And Allen said his last relationship was 1.5 years ago. And it was a 4-year relationship that ended. And he had to go to therapy afterwards because, like we know before, he said that relationship was a bit toxic. And Madison, she ain't never really lived with anyone. And so this is going to be her first time trying to live with somebody. And Allen was like, okay, good, because we might have different habits. He said, because he worked from home. He said, I barely get dressed in the morning because I'm on my little Teams calls or Zoom calls or whatever. And he said, most of the time, I'm taking the calls in my underwear. And Madison said, like, should I be getting up and going to the gym? I don't hear Allen saying he going to the gym. I have not heard Allen say that he goes to the gym. But Madison says she getting up and going to the gym all the time. And I don't know what they're going to do on this Mexico trip. Maybe Madison going to be down in the gym. And then she going to meet up with, maybe she going to meet up with homeboy, what's his name over there? David in the gym. Why the other two spouses sit in the bed and sleep all day? Because Allen said he liked to lounge in his underwear. Homegirl, what's her name? Michelle ain't going nowhere. She's too busy looking in the mirror and being mean. And Madison, David gonna be down in the gym working out every single morning. What's gonna go on there? But anyway, I tell you, when Madison went to meet Allen's mother and his friend, they were really present. The mother was crying because she's so happy for her son. And she says, he really needs someone that's going to be loyal, because what he's saying, what the mother is saying, is that Allen is very, very loyal. And they said, why you been single out here, Madison? And Madison said she's found it hard to find someone who wants to commit. No, Madison, you found it hard to find someone who wants to commit, that also has a buff body, a great body, a guy who is very handsome, a guy who makes a lot of money, and as you say, a pretty boy, right? There's plenty of men who want to commit. You haven't found a man who wants to commit and has everything else you want. So as a result, you've been going after the looks and the men don't want to commit. But now you have a man here who wants to commit and she don't want him. She don't want him. And the mama said my son really needs a woman who's just going to support him, relax him, because it looks like he probably can get a little tight. And I think probably because he's a very emotional guy. That's what I'm picking up from Allen. I think he is a deep feeler, which means he's probably going to love her real deeply. And all of a sudden, you could already see Madison getting overwhelmed, because what she knows about Allen is that he is a very sentimental type of guy. They said he's a dreamer, and Madison is none of that. She's not sentimental. She's kind of just like, she got that hard body, a nice body. I think Madison is has a toughness to her too. And you could tell that she got that toughness from that daddy. Because she calls herself a realist, but I think she's tough. She's a tough realist. It's two different. You can be a realist, but you don't have to be as tough as Madison is. And I think Madison is quite tough. And once I saw that father, I said, ooh, now I know where she got it from. That father came in there talking about, you going to need to get you an STD test. First of all, daddy, there is no problem with this couple asking for STD tests. They should, but that wasn't your job. That was not your job. That was Madison's job to have with her husband. But to sit there and tell that man, you need an STD test before you have sex with my daughter, I just thought it was out of bounds. And and maybe the way that he said it. Now, could you inquire about safe sex? Could you inquire about what Allen's feelings were around it? I think so. I think that would have been fair game. I think a conversation about it would have been a fair game. But the way he said it and how he said it, I wasn't with it. I wasn't with it at all. But you know what? Allen handled it like a champ. In fact, he had a better answer for that father than that father had for him, because what he said was, I already been tested. I've already anticipated this moment, and I went out and got tested, whatever he said 6 months ago. And I guess he's saying 6 months ago, I haven't been with nobody else since then. But Allen was respectful, but if you want to be disrespectful, he could have turned that around and said about your daughter. I would have said something like, well, do you have her test results with you? You want to be all up in me. I'm expecting that if you coming to me with a question like this, you must have come in hand with some test results. Why are you all up in your daughter's vagina like this? You asking me about myself. Well, do you know about your daughter? Don't assume your daughter don't need tested. And then Allen sits over there and says, you know what? If I were walking down the street, do you think Madison would have been attracted to me? And the sister goes, oh, absolutely not. That's so mean. That's so mean at this time. So she says, well, no, I don't think she would have been attracted to you physically. But once I got to know you and I got to know who you are and your insides, I think you're perfect for her. Which I was happy that she tried to clean it up on the back end. But the first comment just stung too much. I don't really know the point of that. I don't know what the point is after they're already married to tell the person and weaken their confidence and tell them, I just want to let you know that you ain't the type of person she even likes. You're not no pretty boy. You're not a pretty boy. Later on the after party, Allen sits over there and tells us he didn't even think, he had a confusion around what a pretty boy is. He had to ask Keisha and I Pullian what a pretty boy is, because he said he felt he was a pretty boy because he dresses preppy. Allen, you're not a pretty boy. I'm sorry. You're not one. We know what a traditional pretty boy looks like. And I'm not saying that you're not happy in some circles, but not according to the normal way. But Allen told us on the after party that he's a hit with the European women. So that's why Allen said, you know what? I don't know why y'all don't think I'm a pretty boy, because on the streets, I'm a pretty boy. And I think what Allen doesn't realize is that Allen's money, because I think Allen has a little bit of coin, Allen's money and Allen's fancy cars make him a pretty boy. But Madison ain't seen that yet. So right now, you average Joe Blow. You average Joe Blow, Allen. But Allen said he was confused over it. But I didn't like what that sister said when she said, no, you're not her type. And I didn't even like it later on when Madison said the same thing to him. I just think there's a way in which you could tell the truth, but you can deliver the news a little bit differently. I just think there's a way to be more respectful of your husband's feelings and to say, you know what? I would have never... You're not the type of man I would go after because you don't look the way I like to look. Now I already know that you may not like me physically. Why put that doubt in your spouse's mind right away? Madison better be happy that Allen is a nice person, because a mean-spirited person would be flipping all this stuff on her. All of it. Madison over here talking off camera, talking about, you know what? Is the attraction there with him? She said, well, not all the way, but it's not bad. She not attracted to him. She's talking about she likes clean-shaven men who are groomed and more metrosexual and more like a gym rat. That's what she likes. But she want them to commit to her. She's trying to pretend like the attraction is there, but it's not there. And he got an uphill battle. He has an uphill battle because she's not as bad as Michelle, but be honest with you, she's just doing a better job at covering up. Now she's talking about how overwhelmed she is. When someone says that they're overwhelmed, what they're saying is that my emotions are not catching up with where we are. That's why she's overwhelmed. She's feeling pressure for her emotions to catch up with where she is. And that's why she's overwhelmed. And she starts telling this to all the other couples. And she says it in public to all the other couples. But she hadn't even expressed some of this stuff to Allen, to his face. So, and that's another thing. So Allen is here sitting thinking everything is going well. But the first time he hears that she's overwhelmed is when it's in a group setting. Why would you do that? Why would you put the man on blast in front of a group? Like I said, blonde ball busters. Blonde ball busters. And poor Allen, the minute he heard what she said, his eyes started twitching. He said he was getting his own anxiety over the fact that she got anxiety. And I think she picked up on it because later she was like, you know what? I want to apologize for being so weird and anxious. Girl, too late. Too late. And she says, I just want to be excited and I want dates and I want romance. She's basically saying, I want to be really attracted to my husband and I'm not. And she's struggling with it. But she's saying things like romantic and dates and fun. And he's like, girl, that's fine. I'll bring out a magic carpet ride for you. I'm going to bring all that. But what she's not saying is, secretly she's saying is, it doesn't really matter if you do all these romantic things for me. Because I'm not attracted to you, they won't mean the same. That's what Madison is saying. She's trying to say like she wants dates and flowers and romance and fun. And he's going to bring all of that. But she ain't going to be happy about it because guess what? She's not attracted to him. And he already feels it because they're already having these awkward moments where he's like, you know what? I don't even know if I can grab your hand or hold your hand. And she's like, well, you know, you can hold my hand and everything like that. So I do believe that Allen, if he's going to try to get past this point with Madison, he is going to have to be more assertive. He is going to have to initiate the contact more. He's going to have to not be so afraid. I know he's afraid of rejection, but if he doesn't put himself out there, the rejection is going to come anyway. I think it's going to come anyway, but I do want him to be a little bit more assertive. I do want him to lead and try to be a little bit more, initiate the contact with her because I don't know if she's going to do it. And she said she had a good time at the wedding. She got her old little adrenaline high going on. But once the wedding hoopla died down and all the fanfare went away, the real feelings are soaking in and Madison ain't feeling him. She ain't feeling him at all. I mean, on the after party this episode, they had Allen, Eminem, and Thomas. And then they also had on there Carla, Madison, and David. They had a double shot of the after party, y'all. It was long. It was very, very long. I don't know if too much went on. I told you a lot about it, about how Allen said he's a hit in Europe. He talked about that. Allen said that when they was at the wedding, he was talking about that he didn't really like the musical selection. He said most of the music that was selected was for Madison and his girls, but he's more of a Pop Smoke fan. He said he liked Pop Smoke. That was the type of music he wanted to listen to. And then he started talking about, I don't know why they say I'm not a pretty boy. I'm preppy. Pretty boy and preppy ain't the same thing, Allen, but okay. And he said the difference between American women and European women, because what he said was that Madison really is the first white American woman he's really dated, that he's typically dated white European women. And he said that the families are a bit different. The families are a bit more warm. And I think what he's saying is Madison's family is cold. That's what I'm saying. And he's saying European family, he felt that maybe the families were a little bit more warm. I don't think it's the European families are warmer than Americans. I just think that Madison's family is cold. That's what it is, Allen. Let's just tell the truth. And then they talked to MM about, did she get tested? They started talking about the whole STD testing. MM was like, yep, I'm a medical professional. I get tested every 6 months. So I had already done it. Thomas talked about Camille wanting to have children in 2 years, and that he and Camille they're getting along very well, and that how Camille fits into his family so nicely, and that his family has so many glowing compliments about Camille. And then Eminem, I'm gonna call her Eminem all season long, y'all. Eminem just said that she was really nervous about hearing that EKG wants a unicorn for a wife. And she said that he's very particular and that every morning he likes to steam his shirts before they get dressed. Like I said, EKG is into appearances. She said every morning he got to steam every single shirt that he does while they in Mexico. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with it, but when you put it all together, you start to see a person who is very conscientious about their outer appearance. And all the people, everybody on the panel, all the MM, Camille, and they all said that Michelle's body language was really, really uncomfortable. Everybody noticed it from the very beginning, and they could tell that she was very, very uncomfortable. And That's pretty much what that group of people talked about. And then when Carla, Madison, and David came in, they were just talking about, I forget what they was talking about. Honestly, y'all, I think I fell asleep by then. I fell asleep on the last part of Carla, Madison, and David's after party. But anyway, y'all, that's all I got. That's all I got for Married at First Sight. It was long. It was very, very long. And like I said, all I got out of it was we got the B's. Blonde, blue-eyed, ball-busting women dealing with men in the basement. There you go. The battle of the B's. But that's it, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.